This is the English version regarding the Danish video that I made about childhood trauma. I need to speed it up because, as always, there's a time limit on this sound video. So, here we go. For something to be classified as a childhood trauma, it must occur from the child is born to the age around 6. And the child's brain grows and develops until it's like 3 years old. So, a small child is very dependent on a caregiver. That's why small children easily can get these traumas, especially if things are very chaotic in the household. And everything regarding this affects the brain of this child. I'm speaking about abuse, being constantly criticized, being around violence, or being mocked all the time, or being made fun of. And also being bullied or being forced to do grown-up things, grown-up activities in the bedroom. I won't say the word here because I'm not interested in being banned here on TikTok for saying forbidden words. But I think you get the picture when I say it like that. So, childhood trauma can be formed from things that happen inside the household or things that happen outside the household. And outside the household, it can be things like a disaster, or maybe the child gets adopted, or maybe there's war, or maybe one of the parents pass away, or perhaps the mom and the dad decide to get a divorce, or a sudden separation can happen. You know, like when one of the parents get arrested or going to prison, or maybe the mom or the dad get very ill and has to be hospitalized, or maybe they have a substance abuse problem and have to go away for a little while to get clean. There are 3 areas that gives a child a childhood trauma. And they are, number 1 is physical abuse. The second one is emotional abuse. And the third one is the activities in the bedroom that I talked about before. Yeah, you get the picture. And these 3 things can be, again, inside the household or from the outside of the household. It truly affects a child watching a mom or a dad being violent, abused. Or if it see another family member being abused. Yeah. And if a child is being bullied by a parent, or it's being bullied from the outside, it also affects the child deeply. And then there's war, like I said. Imagine being a place where there is war and maybe getting away from the war and having to stay in a silent center. Yeah, that's also very traumatizing for a child. Whew, it's hot stuff. When a caregiver doesn't meet the child's need, it gives a trauma. And this is the physical and the emotional needs that are not being fulfilled in this child. And let me just say one thing. Just giving a child a bottle of warm milk or making sure that the child has a clean diaper or clean clothes is not enough. That's not meeting the child's need. No. There are many reasons for this. So maybe the caregiver has their own trauma, unhealed trauma. Or maybe the caregiver is using, or rather abusing, substances. Or maybe the caregiver has a mental illness. That's why the caregiver in no way are able to connect with this child. And the thing is that children really need to feel protected and safe. And when a child doesn't feel that, they get trauma. Science tells us that a lot of people walk around and have these unhealed childhood traumas. And hold on. This trauma is stored in the adult up to 50 years. 50 years after it occurred. 50 years. Honestly, no wonder that adult people are walking around and having a really hard time living good lives or having healthy, loving relationships. No wonder some of us end up with toxic people or narcissistic people. 50 years. 50 years, darling. So, there is a list of things that causes childhood trauma. And I'm giving you the top 5 things. So, one of them is violent surroundings. One is physical neglect. One is psychological abuse. One is physical violence, when the child gets abused in a violent way. And then there's this physical abuse, the bedroom activities that I talked about. Yeah. And the thing is that a child can be so traumatized that they develop these loopholes in their memory. They can't remember the childhood. There are these blank areas. And another thing to keep in mind is that children can also get depressions. They can get PTSD. They can get anxiety. And they can develop mental issues from this. And a lot of them end up with CPTSD when they are adults. So, is there any light in this? Is there any hope? Yes, there is. There is a TFCBT treatment. That's regarding cognitive therapy. Then there's EMDR. That's eye movement therapy. There's mindfulness and meditation. There's art and music therapy. There are these breathing techniques and breathing therapy. And there's journaling, writing things down. And then there's physical things you can do, like walking in the woods, sailing, being on the sea, sitting by the sea, hiking, or doing yoga. Yeah. The most important thing is to balance mind, body, and soul. Thanks a lot for your attention and listening to this video. As always, take care and be safe out there. Yeah, bye.